Welcome to another corner conversation. Really,
You're doing good.
I don't think every podcast should start with "Hey everybody." But we do. Hey everybody. I'm doing it right
That's
now.
how I know you're saying hi.
Welcome to a corner conversation. We are behind the message, but I'm lost.
We're in 1 John chapter 2.
Conversation on 1 John.
Yeah, conversation on 1 John chapter 2. And
the only thing dumber than saying "Hey everybody" is saying "Hey everybody"
what are we doing here?
when there's nobody listening to the podcast.
Oh no, your mom! I thought.
No, I meant like live.
Oh,
yeah. Hey, if you want to call in, the Greg's cell number is. Rich is.
He's doing Friendsgiving.
Oh, that's right. That's what he's doing.
He's excited about it. His wife is excited about it. It'll be good for just relationships. We're talking about relationships, so hey, all the wins.
Tomorrow we have an event that we've been working on, building up to for a while. We're doing a entrepreneurial coaching startup launch people forward thing. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of a busy weekend.
Yeah, we plan to do more of them. So if you're interested, go to codeworknetwork.net.
Yeah, learn more.
Learn more. We'd love to have you involved, or we would love to bring it to where you or your organization are at.
Yeah, I think it is easy to find people that are really passionate about things that have the list of barriers are valid.
Yeah.
and can be a long list. And so our goal is to shorten that distance to their desire where they want to go. Not tell them what to do, but to give them an opportunity, give you an opportunity to process and move forward. And I think for myself, that's something that I've had. Just people in my world have been very generous in helping me process those things. And so it's just a way for us to help others process it as well.
Yeah, quite good.
Yeah, fun.
1 John chapter 2 ends with verse 1 of chapter 3 brings being a child of God to the table, and talk about things that a lot of songs sing about, but I don't know, it's pretty hard to really wrap my head around what it means to be a child of God. I don't know if that was a question.
Well,
no,
does it imply some form of like acting, or is it more just like a identifier? Like if I say Brad Barber's my dad, it's an identifier. I'm a child of Brad.
I think it's an identifier, and then it also has it's not just a last name. It comes with a lot of the value of relationship. I think we're gonna try to have people walk through the value, the challenges, and even lack of value of different degrees of relationship. I feel like I see people every day that I've never ever seen before, which doesn't that run out at some point?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so relationship, having connection with people is so much more than just like walking by somebody on the sidewalk and going, never seen you before. Not really a great greeting.
There's not many things that I feel overwhelmed by, but when I start thinking about the amount of people that are in the world, it feel very overwhelmed.
It's just in your neighborhood.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go to the middle of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah. Too many.
In the world, for sure.
But if you keep all relationship at that level, like people that you walk by and you feel like you've never seen them before and you're pretty certain that you'll never see them again, that's rough. That's not where relationship or the value of relationship is. And on the other end, I think on the other end of the extreme is like being adopted into or being a child or family. And I think it's important for me to verbalize what the complexity of what family is. It isn't just necessarily easy or without fault, but there is something really, really different. You can have a relationship with a one-time moment with somebody in a business or something and go, boy, I never want to deal with you again, and maybe be able to succeed at that, never dealing with them again. But when they are related to you, family is different. And so to be a child of God, there is challenges, but there's also a lot of, again, it goes on and on.
I think like this section of scripture, like what you just said about something I've been working through, even just in moments where there's a moment where there's somebody that I was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to deal with that person again. However, there is this, there's going to be, it might not be that one person, but there's going to be someone similar that you still, like, it never goes away. And so, like, I kind of got distracted, so it's hard for me to remember where I was going with this. But like in the scriptures, like when it was the beginning of this section, it says, now dear children, continue in him. And I kept thinking about just two things, like all of the other times it says continue in him or remain in him, it was kind of an encouragement. Yeah. And here it's like a direction, like this is what you need to do. You can't just, like in the section just before, it's like you are a child of God, you are all these things, and remain, because it talks about that anointing, like already you're anointed, you remain in him because you are in him. And then here it's like this is a direction, like don't be distracted by everything going on, but like remain in him, which feels like an action. Like it isn't just us being child God and end. Like this is like there is part of it, and there's this other side of this book where it's like this family is complex. They are people they trust. They're people they're walking with. They're people they've lived life with, and all of a sudden there's a group of them walking away. And there's a group of them, people they know, they trust, they love, they've been doing community with, all of that walking away. And now what do we do? Yeah. What do we do here?
Well, what a like church or Christian culture thing is that, there are a lot of people that are within our worlds that have given up relationship with God because of somebody that they loved or respected or cared about or cared for them that didn't continue. Yeah. And that's what he's speaking right into. It's like, so some of you have walked away. You no longer focused on Jesus. They are hating each other, maybe hate you. But as for you,
remain.
Continue, abide. And I love just in Matthew chapter 25, there's this grouping. Matthew puts together this grouping of parables. The parable of the 10 virgins who some had extra oil prepared for a long wait and others didn't. The parable of the bags of gold, where one is given 5, 1, 2, 1, 1, and the call to action was to put what you're given, put it to work. And then the last parable, the sheep and goats, but this is the one where, again, you fed me, you clothed me, you visited me when I was alone. And when did we do that? When you did it to the least of these. And part of this call to continue, part of this being an active part of relationship or being a child of God, it's really lived out in these things, being continually prepared, being focused on taking what you have and what you've been given and put it to work. It's not a comparison thing. It's what you've been given, and to love others. Because as you love the least, you're loving Christ. And I think to be a child is not a guarantee. Being a child is not a guarantee of meaningful relationship. And so there is power in we're family, but there's also a lot of power in being active and engaging in relationship, which is what the author of John is really pleading for. As for you, continue. Which marathon, the continuing can feel like a marathon. It's just like it never ends, but the call's clear.
Yeah, I mean, it could feel like that if there's an expectation that there is some prize at the end. But I think if you, like, how weird would it be if you viewed your marriage that way?
Yeah.
It's a marathon.
Really. Well, I think there is a prize, but the prize is now and now and now.
Yeah.
And now. And so when you walk in relationship with God and you live out this incredible adoption of being a child of God, it is not just the value of that relationship in the future or eternity, even. It is you're walking as a child of God right now. And that's really beautiful. And that, as the author of John, First John, is saying to this group of people who I'm sure there was a lot of pressure to give up or to wander, to listen to the wrong people, even to are things going to get better? Because right now really stinks. And a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how where First John chapter 2 has this moment where he speaks to each of the people along the journey, the child, the young men and women, and the old people. Is that where you are in the journey? Remember that Jesus is God, and love one another. And this is, again, that call and that continue. Where you're at may not necessarily, don't be focused on some day that'll fix it all, because that is not promised, or maybe should never be promised. But we can walk in just it should have the impact on us when we just go, hey, you are my God looking at us as you're my child.
Yeah. When in our Hebrews book on Wednesday, where we were talking about heaven and eternity, we were in the second part, and we were just reflecting on how so many of us grew up in a Christian culture that was so focused on right now it doesn't really matter because Jesus is going to come back and fix everything, and all the bad people will be killed. That list could go on and on of the implications of that. And while there is probably some level of good theology mixed in there, there's also this putting off my own responsibility to see eternity on earth now. And the reality is whatever you think about heaven, whatever you think about hell, the future, your response to things in the past, all we can really do is now in this moment, and trying to do the best with what we are given. And so getting hung up on those things actually may not be helpful. We were just talking a lot about I don't want heaven to just be a someday thing. I want God's work to be done now in my neighborhood, where I'm at, in our city. And so what am I doing to work towards that now is actually what probably matters and what I can do. And part of that remaining in this section is not the part of it is keeping hope. I think hope is a motivator, but it's not just I hope God will fix this someday. Yes. It's the hope of God is fixing this, and I'm part of that process.
Yeah, Paul's words in Romans 8 it's again so cool. The spirit you receive does not make you a slave. Doesn't make you slaves. And then there's this little a comma. It's an interruption in the sentence, so that you live in fear again. And it's what a great line.
Yeah.
That relationship with God, God's walking with us, being a child of God. Can most of us identify with, again, the fear of not being good enough for God, or fear of needing to just do what's just out of reach to have a relationship with God, or just insecurities that why in the world would God not like me? Well, Paul says, you're not slaves. Don't be afraid again. This is not about making you afraid again, but the Spirit has been given to you as it's all about your adoption. You're becoming a part of family, and that way we can cry out to God as our Father. And it's easy. The call of First John to continue is to walk it out, not just for the someday, but for the now. This call in Romans chapter 8 is we have a Spirit upon us. God's Spirit is upon us, not to make us inferior or filled with fear, but that we would be adopted. And one thing that I think is super powerful about family outside of all types of relationship is that no matter the ups and downs of sometimes relationship, we're like, yeah, we're not really friends right now. That can happen. Or we're really close right now, and that can happen. But family is a tag that it doesn't mean that those highs and lows in relationship don't happen. And they do like intensely happen. But the name tag that says daughter, son, brother, that doesn't go away. And so while we have a relationship with God, you can have this moment like, God and I aren't really doing that good right now, whatever that means. But part of the value of the now is that God is going, yeah, but you're still my child.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful.
Like
Good. Rich isn't here, so there's no wrap up.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's how we're going to end it.
Right.
See you next week.